Good afternoon. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. Welcome to Empower Hour, hosted by the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. We encourage attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box to send your questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Also, Empower Hour is being recorded and will be available at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Now I turn it over to Chief Small Business Officer, Lotika Pai. Lotika?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the BACP Empower Hour. I'm Lotika Pai, Chief Small Business Officer with the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. This webinar series is meant to help businesses and consumers get the information they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from Chicago's very own entrepreneurs. Additionally, September 15th to October 15th, you all know, is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we want to acknowledge and celebrate Chicago's Hispanic-owned businesses for being part of our small business community. Today with us is Eleazar Delgado, owner of Café Jumping Bean. 30 years ago, Eleazar took a business risk by opening a cafe in a commercial corridor with predominantly cultural cuisine, and now his cafe today is a staple in the Pilsen neighborhood. Let's find out what led to the business and how the cafe engages with the community. Good afternoon, Eleazar, and thank you very much for joining us today. Before we get into the questions, can you tell our webinar attendees today a little bit about yourself?
Well, what can I tell you about myself? I am born and raised in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood. I come from a family of 5. I currently own the Café Jumping Bean and El Cafecito Jumping Bean. We've expanded, and we serve the Pilsen community over the last 30 years.
You know, that's great. So what led you to opening Café Jumping Bean? Like, how did you choose the location in Pilsen to start out?
Well, the location came, my brother is an artist, and back in the day, 30 years ago, there was a location on the Halsted corridor between Cermak and 18th Street called the Taller Mexicano de Grabado, which is the Mexican print shop. And a bunch of artists used to hang out there, and that's where they did their work. So I used to hang out there once in a while with my brother, not being an artist myself, but I like the scene, and I also like taking photographs. So I would take photographs of their work or while they were working. But I noticed that there was a lack of spaces for people to just hang out without it being a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, and also Café Jumping Bean is such a unique name. So how did you decide on that business name?
Well, the name, there was actually another name that was on my first receipts when I purchased my first piece of equipment. I will not say that name. I don't tell anybody, but I wasn't convinced. And one day I came home and I told my sister, hey, I am gonna call out a bunch of names. Do me a favor, write them down. So she's like, for what? What's this for? I'm like, just do it. So I called out a bunch of names. It must have been probably a good 15. And then I said, okay, let me see the list. I looked at the list and I said, there it is. That's the name of the cafe. She's like, you have a name. Not no more. That's the new name. Café Jumping Bean.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is classic whiteboarding and brainstorming. I love that you came up with the name in such a unique manner. So thank you for sharing that with us. And obviously you make decisions very quickly as well. There didn't seem to be any hesitation in picking the name. I love it. So, you opened in 1994. It's been a while. And in the beginning, you were faced with a lot of criticism. So how did you, as a small business owner, an entrepreneur, overcome that?
Well, the first thing we got when we were doing construction, we took over the space, on 18th and Bishop, and the first thing to go up was the sign and the name of the place. Immediately, one day when I was there working, I was doing some painting, and somebody came banging on the door and tells me, "Who's the owners of this place?" And I said, "Hey, slow down. I'm the owner of the place." "No, you're not." This person saw me and all painted and, working. And I was a young kid. I was 26 years old. They're like, "You can't be the owner." I said, "Yes, I am the owner." "Why? What's the problem?" They're like, "What's with that name, Café Jumping Bean?" I'm like, "What's wrong with it? Are you making fun of somebody?" I'm like, "No, but if you're insinuating, I am Mexican." So from there, that person ended up being a great customer throughout the years. And people took the name and said, "Wow, what a catchy name, what a fun name." And people liked it, so that was the beginning of what my first, I want to say, confrontation was in the neighborhood.
Mr. Delgado, your cafe has now, over the years, since 1994, established such a unique niche for itself in Pilsen. It's a staple in the neighborhood. What does a typical day inside the cafe look for you and your employees?
Well, a typical day for us starts at 5:30 in the morning. We open our doors at 6. Right now, we currently have 2 locations, so things are a little, back and forth. But at the main location, we start our day at 5:30. We have deliveries that drop in overnight, and some come in early in the morning. And my staff begins to roll in between 5:30, 5:45, and start setting up the place. Immediately from 6 o'clock when we open, we have people at the door. And it's something, because when our original hours, we used to open, when I first started, we were opening at 8 o'clock. And then I saw people were already there, and I said, "Okay, we need to move this." Then it was 7 o'clock, and then it was 6 o'clock. And I said, "Okay, we're going to keep it at 6." But from the moment we get there, we're nonstop. We're moving. We get so much different traffic there. Everything from your construction workers to teachers, the people going downtown to your students, and it's really fun because we've gotten to know a lot of these people, especially our early morning people.
And, you're a staple in the neighborhood. Everyone knows you in Pilsen. And, I think it's very important for everyone on the webinar to also recognize and acknowledge the fact that your business is much more than being just a traditional coffee house. You also double as a gallery space. And so what are some of the art exhibits that are featured in the cafe, and are they created by local artists? Like, what is your focus for the gallery space?
Well, when the idea came up for the cafe, as I said before, I was hanging out with a group of artists from Pilsen. And I also, I grew up in the Little Village neighborhood. So when I came to Pilsen, I noticed a lot of the murals and the big art scene that was there. So I said, when the cafe idea came, I was like, art has to be a part of this. And artists need a place to exhibit. Not everybody can exhibit in a gallery, so why not let it be a cafe? It keeps our walls fresh every time we change the artwork. People like it, and people get to show off their work. And we do local artists. We concentrate mostly on local artists, but we've done artists from Mexico. We've had a visiting artist from Peru. We had a visiting artist from China. We've done quite a few things, and it's to me, it's that's what the walls are there for. It's for the community to see the change, to appreciate the artwork, and to know that most of these artists are from their neighborhood.
That is incredible to hear, Eleazar. I feel like what you're doing with creating this meeting space combining food, combining art, you're contributing so much to the cultural diversity in your community. So thank you for that. I think it's very unusual and it adds so much. So on another note, we came across a photo of you and former President Obama when he was still a US Senator. Do you often get elected officials and celebrities stopping by your cafe, given what a staple it is in the Pilsen neighborhood? And when they do, and if they do, what does it mean to you when they're stopping by?
Well, it's I take it as an honor, and I respect everyone that comes through our doors. The Obama was a pretty famous one, was a great one because he became president. We've never been the business to put any political signage in our windows that we support this, because my view was that I never wanted to say, hey, I don't know who you're gonna vote for. I don't know what this person's gonna vote for. I'm not gonna, this place is for everybody. There's no taking sides here. A friend called me and said, hey, I need a favor. This guy, Obama, is running for senator and he's coming through. Can he stop at the cafe? And I'm like, yeah, well, why are you asking me? Yeah, of course. So that was probably the start of it. But we've had mayors, we've had quite a few mayors. We've had every mayor from the city of Chicago since I've been around. We've had quite a few governors, celebrities. Yo-Yo Ma, ring a bell?
Of course.
That was a great one. That was an amazing event. I got a few hours notice that he wanted to stop by the cafe and perform a few songs. And I was thrown back. I was like, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. One, I was a fan, and two, my son back then was probably 6 and has been studying the cello for the last 3 years since he was like 4 years old. So I was like, this is crazy. I took my son out of school for that event. It was a beautiful event, but we've had quite a few different events happen at the cafe. We've had an 18-piece mariachi band that did the performance for the first Mexican opera here at the Civic Opera in Chicago, and they wanted a place to stop by, and they rode on into the cafe.
It's amazing to have been a fly on the wall when Yo-Yo Ma was performing at your cafe. That would have been quite something. And again, big kudos to you for creating this space in the community that can offer up such diversity in terms of culture, in terms of arts. I think that is fascinating, and it's such a credit to you as a member of the community and as a small business owner. So thank you very much for that. It contributes so much to our small business ecosystem. So
it's been a great ride.
yeah, I can well imagine. And just to see you here, so smiling, so upbeat. Obviously, this is something you care about immensely, and you contribute to in a really big way as well. So the city is very grateful to you. So, when you think of cafe, it's always food, it's drinks. So what is the most popular order at your cafe?
The most popular drink would have to be our Choco Espresso. That is a combination of our imported Mexican chocolate and espresso. We made that drink. We started with your regular mocha, your regular chocolate, espresso milk. And I said, well, wait a minute, why not Mexican chocolate? But you can't go with just any Mexican chocolate. There's the real popular brand out there. I won't say any name, but you look at the label and there's like 1 million ingredients in there. Mexican chocolate should be simple. Chocolate, cinnamon, and maybe some of them have like a walnut or something in there, but it's a very simple chocolate, where you get the taste already. So we decided to experiment, and that's how we got the Choco Espresso. It's espresso, Mexican chocolate that we import from Mexico, and the milk of your choice. And that drink took off as a hot beverage. And then people started requesting it cold. And I said, well, let's give it a shot. And it took off. So that would be our number one drink at the cafe.
Sounds delicious. And the fact that you're so focused on the quality, and the purity of the ingredients that you are putting into the drinks as well is so commendable. So how do you source your ingredients? You said you get your chocolates from Mexico. So how do you find the suppliers and, for coffee beans, for chocolates? Like, what does that process look like for you?
Well, it's a long process because we really do are very selective. Our coffee, I work with a fabulous roaster here in the city, Metropolis Coffee Company,
Mhm.
and they help me come up with the coffee blend that I serve. They're my second roaster. We went to Metropolis because we were growing, and our first roaster couldn't handle our growth, so we decided to move on. And they helped us create our blend and stay where we're at, and also our espresso blend they helped us create. So that's the coffee side of it. They're great with providing all the information we need, making sure our coffee is fair trade, and making sure it's the right stuff that I want, and making sure that's what it was. It wasn't pushing their product. It's me getting something that I want. Even down to our muffins and bagels and bread. We don't have one single person doing everything, because my bread guy, they do great bread, but their muffins and cookies and everything, not so good. And that's understandable. Hey, you concentrate on bread. So we're going to get that bread from you. And then we also source our bagels. Well, our bagel people are great. They do our bagels, but they also carry other products. But we said, no, we'll stick to bagels with you guys. And then we have our baker who does all our cookies and muffins and pound cakes and croissants. They do that type of product extremely well. So we decided to source it through them. So we have four different bakers, because we also have a vegan cookie baker also. So we have we source things out differently. Our Mexican chocolate, same thing. We sourced it through Mexico, and we have a distributor here in the city where we get our product from. And it's been a you go the extra step, but it's worth it. Even down to our produce. Our produce, I directly source it from the Chicago International Produce Market, which is 5 minutes from the cafe, and it's a beautiful market, and I'm getting the freshest product available.
There's so much intentionality, Eleazar, in how you're sourcing your products. You've diversified your supply chain. You have been intentional about which supplier you are picking for the specific type of product that you want. I think it's not only speaks a lot to the type of businessman you are, but also is very prudent from a business, standpoint, where you're not just relying on one person to give you everything, but you're diversifying that entire base. And also your focus on fresh products. I think that's so commendable.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. One of the things which I'm sure many small business owners, and especially many of our attendees who are looking to probably start a new business and are looking to, someone successful like you as an inspiration as well, many of them are seeking capital to start their business, or if they already have a business, to scale their business. Can you share some advice on this aspect of building a business, accessing capital with our attendees?
Yes. When I first started 30 years ago, that was tough. Like I said, I was 26 years old. My credit wasn't all that great. And I had a hard time even opening up a checking account at a bank. You know, I understand the banks. They can't take a risk. They need to make sure that, you know, they're going to get their money back. So we finally had our first year up and running. We managed it. We scraped enough money to open up the business. We needed to remodel and do a few things. In comes an organization called Allied for Community Business. Great organization for helping startups, offering advice on everything from your business plan to the loans to even talking to banks, you know, and figuring out your finances and seeing what direction you're gonna head in. I've worked with them quite a few times, and they are a great source for, you know, financing your business and helping you out. You know, they will take a chance and go on, you know, on what you have to offer, you know, and they're key. You know, banks play their role, and like I said, I have great bankers, but when it's hard when you're first starting out. It is very hard. You know, that door will close on you plenty of times, but you can't give up. That just because it closes, another one will open.
I agree. I think it takes so much grit to start a business. And also, I'm so glad you mentioned Allies for Community Business because they are one of city's neighborhood business development centers. So we work with over 70 organizations. BACP does. We have partnerships with over 70 organizations like Chambers of Commerce, CDFIs, you know, not-for-profit organizations that are focused on business development, which are the city's boots on the ground, working with small business owners. And I'm really happy to hear that you have worked with Allies for Community Business in the work that you've been doing, because they do provide access to, you know, business loans. They're attached to the hatchery, which provides a lot of advice and services for entrepreneurs in the food business. So
yeah,
thank you
they're definitely a big source for me. You know, when I first started, it was there was no Chamber of Commerce in our neighborhood, but I will mention a help that I received. How I got introduced to them was 18th Street Business Development. They were the ones who introduced me to them. So yeah, your their neighborhood not-for-profits are a big help also. You know, and they can't be overlooked. You know?
Absolutely. And this is like no cost services that the city provides to small business owners. So thank you for sharing.
No, definitely.
You know, insights in, you know, one of them not have a website. So can you tell us why you don't? How do you market and promote? Because obviously you're doing something right if you have everyone from Yo-Yo Ma and, you know, the Obamas visiting. So tell us how you are doing it and why you don't have a website.
Well, we had a website, and I never maintained it. That was years ago. Years ago, I got convinced to do it. I never maintained it. And I just thought it was extra work. And I said, you know what? I actually work my business. I am behind the bar 7 days a week. I don't have time for this. So I sort of let it go, and I never paid it any attention. When social media came out, we decided to jump on that. You know, we started with the Facebook, and then we went to the Instagram, and you know, you have your Twitter and so on and so on. That helps us. That helps us a lot. We do a lot of that, but we also do a lot of community outreach. I mean, I never saw a website as a need. I need a website. I mean, there's so much out there that you can get for free that sometimes you just don't. I mean, we don't. I don't see a need for it. As I'm growing, as my businesses are growing, you know what? I have it. It's been on the back burner. It's been in the back of my head. You know what? I need to finally get that website out there. You know, but right now it's just not something that I've always never thought I needed. Like I said, our outreach is through social media and the community. You know, a big thing for me is always supporting the community you're in. just as much as you're receiving from the community, you have to give back. And that's been a big thing for me. I support a Little League team. Every time they see my logo on that back of that shirt, they remember, hey, this is the cafe down the street. Let's go support him. Every time we donate coffee for an event at a church or a non-for-profit organization, they see our product and they're like, oh wow, this was donated by the cafe. We've always we're reaching out to our non-for-profits in our neighborhood, telling them, listen, we're here to help out as much as we can. Let us know when there's a need, and we will be glad to be part of it. And that's been the biggest thing for me, is word of mouth. We don't do the Grubhub, the DoorDash, we don't do the Uber Eats, we don't do any of that. Why? Because we're busy. And it's just never been my thing for that. It's something, because like I said, I do most of my outreach through the community. I tell my staff, listen, we serve a great cup of coffee, but a lot of it right now is the stuff I'm doing in the back end. What you guys do every day when they recognize a customer and say, hey, the usual, hey, same as yesterday, they know their name, that brings them back, and that good experience, they will speak of us and say, hey, you got to check out this cafe in Pilsen. And that's, to me, more important than a webpage right now.
Absolutely. You are definitely doing something right. And given how entrenched you are in the community, like just serving the community, giving back and recognizing what an integral part you are, I think it's all working for you. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important for us to recognize that different businesses have different ways in which they market and promote, and website doesn't cut it for everyone. I think what you're doing with direct engagement is so much more impactful and powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
So in terms of this month, September 15th to October 15th is National Hispanic Heritage Month. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Café Jumping Beans plans to celebrate?
Well, National Hispanic Heritage Month, I'll be honest with you, we really don't do much to celebrate that. It's just never been a thing that we've done. We acknowledge it, we're part of it, but our big thing comes in October when it's Dia de los Muertos. We host different art shows, we do different merch, we do giveaways. This being our 30th anniversary, we are combining it with National Hispanic Heritage Month with the Dia de los Muertos. So we're going to come out with a few surprises for the month for the ending of it, like around the middle of October. So our customers, will know something's coming. But it's something that, being in the neighborhood and seeing the festivities. We have a parade on 18th Street that we see every year, with the people love to watch it. We hear people from we serve people from the Little Village community, also another big parade. And this is the stuff that I grew up with. I grew up watching a parade, and it was always a favorite thing of mine. So, it's something that it's never been like a thing that we celebrate at the cafe. But it's always, like I said, it's always there, and we acknowledge it, and it's part of our community. It's part of who we are. But for us, it's always been more Dia de los Muertos coming in towards the end of October, but this time it's going to ride in with National Hispanic Heritage Month.
I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for all your special events coming up in October. It sounds very exciting and, engaging. So I'll definitely be on the lookout. I really want to thank you for sharing your story of your business start, your business growth, and how you've taken it to where it is today in such a sustainable manner, and been so engaged with the community as you've been doing this. So really thank you for sharing that story today with our attendees. I want to transition a little bit now to you. So when you're running a business, it's really hard. It's, a stress. There's so much ins and outs of things you have to take care of, sometimes the boring stuff like accounting and what have you. But what do you do to relax?
Well, luckily now, after being there 30 years, I get to come home on my weekends. So that's a plus for me. I'm there, back in the day, it was always 7 days a week for me. Morning to close every day. But it wasn't something that I dreaded. It's what I did. It's what I love to do. It's still what I love to do. But now when I choose my relaxing time, I like to spend time with my friends, my family. Believe it or not, I love to cook. We host a lot at our house for friends and family to come over and basically relax. And that's what the weekends have given me. Having an incredible staff, that I can rely on is giving me that pleasure of being able to stay home on the weekends, after being there so long. But my relaxing time is definitely the weekends with my family, with my friends coming over, and basically just hanging out. It's something just to relax and hang out. I'm not big on the going out here, going out there. I like cooking for people and inviting them over.
That sounds like a really fun weekend at the Delgado family home every single weekend. So
Yep.
That's so great to hear. And you said you love to cook, and I'm sure, given what you do and just hearing you speak, you're an absolutely fabulous cook. But in your cafe, what is your favorite item on the menu?
That's a tough one because there's two. My
Okay.
favorite is going to be the molletes.
Okay.
Molletes is French bread. No, we changed that. Normally it would be something else. French bread, black beans, melted quesadilla cheese, and it's topped with a pico de gallo. And then you have, at the cafe, you have the option of adding a vegan chorizo. Some people add diced ham to it. I like to have it with the vegan chorizo and a jalapeno on the side and a black cup of coffee. That, to me, in the morning is heaven. That is it's a great breakfast, lunch, whatever you want it to be. It's an open face. I wouldn't call it a sandwich, but it's meant to be eaten open face. Even though I've seen people take it and make it into a sandwich, because we serve it open face. I've seen people close it up and make it into a sandwich. I've never had it that way, but you can have it anyway. But the molletes with vegan chorizo and the aguacate. Oh yeah, you top it with aguacate on top, and you're set. It's heaven. And a black cup of coffee.
Wow, that sounds delicious. It's way past lunchtime, but I think I'm feeling hungry again. Just listening to you describe that. That sounds delicious. So, Eleazar, this webinar is titled Empower Hour. So can you share a piece of advice that can empower the attendees, all our attendees of this webinar today?
Well, the advice I can give is, when you start a business, you really got to be part of it. For me, it was important, being there every day, working elbow to elbow with your employees to know you're invested in this as much as they are. This is not just, me sitting in the corner and watching everybody and, hey, do this, do this, do this. No, I work side by side with my employees and making sure things get done properly and making sure everyone understands that we're all in this together, and believe in what you're selling, and if your doors say you open at 6 a.m. and you close at 7, well, you got to be there at 6 a.m. You know, even if it's for that one person, you know, if your doors say you're closing at 7, you're gonna be there till 7. You know, believe in what you're selling, be part of your business. You know, I've seen a lot of businesses go under in my time, and I've always wondered, well, what happened? You know, how is it that it just didn't make it? You know, and my thing was, even when I opened the second location, it was being there. You know, making sure the customers knew, hey, this is the same guy who has the one on 18th Street. He's part of it. He's with his employees every day. It's something to give, you know, to give your all to your business, but be there with the people, work it, you know, invest in it with your time, and it will pay off. Yep.
That is really, really great advice for everyone who's listening. Just working side by side, just being there, being present, and really, you know, backing what you say. Like you said, if you open at 6, even if it's just for one customer, just showing up and opening the space. I think all of those things are so important when you're starting out and continuing that in the long term as well. So thank you for sharing that advice with everyone today.
Well, you're welcome.
Can you please provide us with your social media handles so that we can all follow you and Cafe Jumping Beans?
The social media handle is Cafe Jumping Bean, all one word,
Okay.
and that's it.
And so are you on, Instagram, Facebook?
We are on Facebook, and it's same thing. It's Cafe Jumping Bean. Instagram, it's the Cafe Jumping Bean, one word,
Okay.
and that will be on there. Twitter, well, now X, is Café para los Muertos. But if you
Okay.
search up Cafe Jumping Bean, you'll find it there also. Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Thank
not big
you.
on the TikTok yet. Even, you know, believe it or not, I just probably started that page a month ago.
Thank you for sharing all of that. This was so incredibly insightful for all of us, this conversation. And I think I cannot tell you how grateful the city is to entrepreneurs like yourself who are building small businesses and really enriching our communities with what they are doing, because small businesses are the anchors around which communities are built. So really, from the city, thank you very much for everything that you do. So if you could stay a little bit longer, Eleazar, we would love if we could take questions from the audience at this point.
No, definitely. I'd be honored.
Great. Thank you so much. Let's look and see about the questions. If anyone has any additional questions, if they could please put them in the chat. Okay, we do have one. Do you focus on hiring from the neighborhood?
Yes, we do. And not just hiring from the neighborhood. I make it pretty much a big deal to be able to speak even a little bit Spanish. You know, we still have a clientele that comes in and will speak only Spanish. I will get the paletero from the street who comes in for a cup of coffee, and he's gonna come in and say un café. And the last thing I want any of my employees to say is what? And like we're in a Mexican community still. I know the diversity has changed, but we still get that clientele. So yes, a lot of the hiring, I want to say, yeah, you know what? Right now, 100% of my hiring is from the neighborhood. You know, I interview people, I interview everybody, and we've hired outside of the neighborhood, but 95% of it is all community. You know, making sure they know that these people are in the community. You're going to see them walking around. You're going to see them at events, you know, and they're part of this business.
Okay, great. Next question. Any plans for gluten-free bread options? And then they put love jumping bean.
Well, we've tried the gluten-free bread. You know what? We'll definitely give it a try again. You know, we did try it. I will say, we probably tried it right the year. It was probably a few months before COVID hit, so that sort of threw us off when we got back to it. So you know what? Yeah, it's. I will speak with my managers, and we'll definitely try and bring that back, because I know there's a lot of people out there who rely on that. You know.
Great, thank you. Next question. What advice would you give to inspiring entrepreneurs? And I know you kind of touched on that, but any more inspiration would be great.
Well, the advice I would give someone when they're, is do your homework, do your background work, make sure you know this is what you want to do. You know, before you invest all this money and time into what you think you want to do, make sure it really is what you want to do. And nothing is forever, that's for sure. But it does take a lot of time and effort to really to give a business. You're gonna be there. It's, people always use the term, it's your baby. It literally is. You're there for it every day of the week. I say I'm off on the weekends, but if I get that phone call, guess what? I'm showing up to fix what I gotta fix. So it really is doing your homework, and looking out for what is it that the community needs, what do you want to do, and how am I going to go about building this, and that's probably some of the advice that I can give besides what I said earlier.
Great, thank you. Next question. How do you manage your social media? And then the follow-up is, have influencer collaborations help support new customers?
Okay, well, that's where my age is going to come out. I don't have any influencers. Social media is handled by a few of my managers and myself. I have been leaning on my managers a little more to do more stuff, to get out there more, and a few of them have started getting into it. But yeah, I do not use any influencers. I haven't. Not that I'm against it, but it's not something that I've actually given any thought to.
Okay, great. How did you manage a startup of your business financially?
How did I manage to start up my business financially? You're talking originally 30 years ago.
Yes.
30 years ago, like I told you, bad credit, couldn't open a bank account. I started with 2 credit cards and some cash that I had. And believe it or not, that was it. And from there, it was we managed to do enough to make a small cafe, small express machine, everything was just basic. There was like 5 sandwiches on the menu, maybe 5, 6 drinks. It was a small space, nothing fancy, until we decided to change it up a bit after the first year. And then that's when Allied for Community Business came in, and they're also celebrating 30 years, But yeah, it wasn't easy, but it can be done. If you really want to do it, you're going to be able to do it. Things are easier nowadays, with the internet. Mind you, I'm coming from an era where I didn't go on the internet to look up everything. We had the yellow pages.
Great. So this one is not a question, but it's a great comment. Just a huge congrats on 30 years. I just completed 20 years and it's a lot of hard work. Continued success. So just a nice comment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And it is a lot of hard work, even in your 30 years, but it's fun and it's yours,
Great. Next question. I know you support and sponsor local community and community events. Do you have any advice on how to budget to support the community activities?
Do I have, you know what, we set aside a budget every year to how much we can do, because yeah, we get a lot of requests. And sometimes, unfortunately, that window closes early. If, lately I've been trying to spread it out more. So people who come in September, I'm not saying no to, and people in October, I'm not saying no to, and not giving everything up early. So now we decided to start let's spread it out. Let's spread that amount out, but it never. I can't say I have. Oh well, I haven't. I based it off of this. No, I just know that last year I gave this amount. This year, let's raise it, or let's, maybe, are we having a good year? Are we not having a good year? That's another one I base it on. It depends on how the year is going. If we're having an exceptional year, guess what? People in September, October, November, December, I'm going to be able to handle those events. But you can't do all of them. You just can't. And people are understanding. That's for sure.
Great, thank you. How long after you opened did you begin to see a profit?
5 years. It was a long 5 years. A lot of times I wanted to call it quits. But I kept saying, no, there's something here. There is something to be had here. I know it. And it was something to finally see, you don't visually see it, but you feel it, like, this is it. We're over that hump. And I know people always say, oh, it's 5 years. Yeah, it was 5 years for me. It was, I believe, 99, where it was the summer and we finally, like, wow, we're making money. We're doing okay. I can pay myself a little more. I can hire more people, and that's, I believe, the year we took out our second loan with Allied for Community Business, and we were able to grow the business more and be able to do more for the cafe.
Great. Also, how do you decide what responsibilities to delegate?
Well, that's a tough one, because I did handle a lot for many years. Now I do let my managers, do a lot of I do very little of the ordering. They're there on the day-to-day basis. They know what I'm there every day, but you don't see me behind the bar anymore. I was behind the bar for probably 25 years. And probably the last 4 years, I'm more back scenes. I'm more in my office, handling more of the accounting. But my managers, for quite a while already, I've let them handle their ordering, and for all their everyday ordering. I still handle I still handle the scheduling for the staff. I let them delegate anything that comes up with employees needing time off. Somebody gets sick, figuring all this other stuff out. Hey, we need this fixed. They know, hey, we don't need to call him. Let's just figure this out, how we're going to go about this. So yeah, it's something to delegate, because you need to do that. The managers are a big part of the business, and they should know this stuff. And to me, it was pretty much, listen, I can't do everything anymore. You guys are here every day, and you know this just as much as I know it, so it's yours.
Okay, great. How did you find the right partners, tax advisors, business advisors?
Word of mouth. Yeah, it was all word of mouth. Yeah, everything that I've done was people recommended to me. My accountant was recommended to me. The bank was recommended to me. My financial people were recommended to me. My contractors actually, that I will say, my contractor for the cafe, who does our design work and build outs, he's a very good friend. So I met through the cafe. But yeah, everything was recommended to me through people I know. And that's how I take it. I take recommendations, and I hear people out and say, hey, I'm looking for an accountant. Can you recommend somebody? And I go from there. That's how I've done it.
Great. Next question. How did you know you were ready to open up the second location?
How did I know? Oh, wow, that's that's a funny one because it has a funny story behind it, and I'll tell it to you real quick. The second location is at the Pink Line on Damon, and it was a juice bar for a few years. And that station has it's 375 square feet, small little space, but it leads directly into the Pink Line. When you come down, you see the space. Nice. It was empty for years. A juice bar went in. They were there for a couple of years. They ended up closing. I was driving down Damon and passed it up, and I saw the for lease sign. I said, "Oh," I told my friend who I was with in the car, "Wow, they didn't make it. It closed." And I made the comment, "Too bad it's going to become a Dunkin' Donuts." And my friend tells me, "Well, why don't you do something about it?" I made a U-turn, came back, took the phone number down, and called, and that's how we got it. But
Great.
it wasn't no planning, really. It was really no planning.
That's great. Okay, last question. Were there any major setbacks, and how did you overcome and learn from them?
Major setbacks. You know, we didn't have anything major. I mean, it happened to us. I mean, besides the pandemic, which really, I mean, it took everybody for surprise. You know, that was probably our toughest time throughout the whole history of the cafe. You know, opening up the second location was pretty smooth. I had 22 years under my belt, so I knew what I was doing. But when COVID came, yeah, it shocked us all. We couldn't have people in there no more. And not just that, there was nobody out. I knew we had to stay open because I have people who work for me who depend on receiving a check and getting paid and paying their rent and feeding their families. So I'm like, we don't have the option of closing. We need to stay open. But I told my staff, listen, we're gonna do this, but if you don't want to be here, it's okay. You know, but when you decide to come back, your job will be there for you. So that was the hardest thing to overcome because we had probably 2 or 3 months that we were very slow. I mean, you're talking a business that every day was slammed. And then we just came to a stop. And we were twiddling our thumbs. So I told my staff, listen, do something, clean windows. I'm not sending people home. We're going to figure this out. And slowly, we got busier than what we were before. And it's like, wow, you know, the community came out for us. And, you know, that's why, to me, being part of the community and giving back is extremely important for me.
Great. Thank you. I'm getting a ton of thank you so much for your sharing your journey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is all the questions. Turning it back over to Lotika.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all our attendees for joining today's Empower Hour. You can watch today's Empower Hour on our YouTube channel by visiting youtube.com/Chicago BACP. And for more information on our next Empower Hour, please visit chicago.gov/business education. And on a more personal note, Mr. Delgado, I really want to say how inspiring it is to hear about your business journey, and then also just the sheer determination and persistence you have had to build a business from scratch and keep it sustainable, growing, and be an anchor in your community over the last 30 years. It was such a joy to hear your journey. So thank you so much again for sharing and for everything that you do in your community. Again, we're very grateful to have business owners like you be part of our ecosystem. So again, thank you very, very much.
No, thank you. I'm honored to be on. Yep.
Thank